All right, we'll go ahead and get started. No. Yeah, we'll just take it one day at a time. We'll see where it goes here.
All right, so you may not have Oliver. Obviously, it's a big loss trying to stop Derrick Henry, who you have struggled with the last couple of years. What has to happen, Sean, that maybe can prevent him from dominating the game the way he has in the past?
Yeah, well, he's an elite player. He's hard to stop, and it hasn't just been our defense. I'll give them credit. They have an elite player there, and they use him well, and so we have to do a better job of controlling the line of scrimmage, and sometimes that takes 11 guys to do that. And in this case, with Henry. He didn't get as many touches this past week as he usually gets, and so we'll see where that goes this week with their plan. But he's an elite player for a reason, and he's hard to stop.
What is injury?
I'm sorry?
What is Ed's injury?
Ankle.
Do you reflect, does the memory of how last season's game at Tennessee, still kind of sting as you watch back tape, knowing that we were that close to winning the game?
We're really focused on this game this week. That said, you remember things from every season that you carry with you, highs and lows, and but it's a game of inches. That's what this game is. It's you got to expect a close game every week, and that's what we expect this week. They're a good football team, and number one seed in the AFC last year. So
when you look at the margins of victory, you've been able to win by large margins, including what happened last week. Is there any relative concern going back to last season? And I know it was last season. You were 0-5 in games decided by 7 points or less. Is that any level of concern, or maybe would you be able to pinpoint what that might be a reflection of?
yeah, I don't think the past is a predictor of the future. If you go back 2 years, we were 4-1 or 5-2, whatever it was. So it's one season at a time, 1 week at a time. In this case, one game at a time, and we put a lot of work into playing well in close games, which we did last week. In terms of when that game was close, we played our best football, which I'm extremely proud of the guys for that. And I think that's something that comes through every season. That's what you want to see, is playing well in close games. And we did that last week. It'll be another close game this week.
With that in mind, are there certain you've played the Titans a bunch over the last few years. Are there certain characteristics of a Mike Vrabel coach team, or what the Titans usually present? Like, what do you think of him when you think of those teams and him as a coach?
Yeah, good football coach. He's done a great job. Him and John together building that team down there and their culture, and I think they've been to the playoffs almost, if not every year, just about every year since they've been there, and they've got a good football team. And as I mentioned, Derrick Henry, Tannehill. They've got a good front on the defensive side, good safety play. So they've got a talented roster, and they're well coached.
From your perspective, how did Kyer handle not being named the starter last week?
Like a pro. Yeah, like a pro.
What did you take away after you watched the film of the Rams game? What were your key takeaways from how you played defense, particularly in the second half, shutting that team out?
Yeah, I just think overall it was a good team effort, Sal. Good defensive team effort. I thought we played team defense. Everyone was doing their job and their piece. They're 111th, as we say, and guys were flying around. Good fundamentals. So those are things we have to build on this week.
Go ahead.
Going off that, Sean, being a defensive guy, seeing how your front four performed on Thursday night, is that what you thought about when you could bring in a guy possibly like Von Miller, that the front four could perform at that level?
Well, that's what we need. That's what you need to play really good defense and to win championships. That's what you need. So when we had this vision of a player like that, yes, in terms of getting it to a level where we feel like we can be really good. And again, that's just something we're trying to build. It's one game, and now we have to look forward in terms of this opponent. And really that's where our focus is in getting ourselves to improve our level of play.
Sean, you got a seventh-round pick who's starting at one corner, a sixth-rounder rotating into the other one, an undrafted free agent who was here for 4 years as a starter. What is it about this coaching staff that makes you so successful at developing those types of guys at that position? Not that you don't do it in other positions, but it seems like it happens more there. And when I say coaching staff, I am including yourself in that group too.
I just think it starts with the players, the types of people that Brandon and his staff bring in. I want to give credit there first, and then I believe we have teachers, coaches that A, care about the players, and B, know how to develop the players that we have. And I think it's never just one thing. It's that process of personnel, having players in here who are wired the right way, and then the player and the coach working together along with our whole staff, medical, player development team, to develop not just the player but the person as well.
Earlier this week that Daquan Jones brings a columnist to that room where there's a lot of strong personalities on top of his football play. Was that something that you and Brandon were thinking about, like having some balance personality-wise when constructing that group?
I just think overall you always want it to fit together like a puzzle, like you've seen over the years, and this is not specific to Daquan situation, but you see teams on paper who look great on paper, but they don't fit, they don't mesh, they don't fit well together, and so it's got to piece together, talent-wise, yes, but also personality-wise as well. So you need players like Daquan that have a quiet style or a lead-by-example type of approach.
What else has he brought to the group?
I just think he's been, as Leslie alluded to, as you said, just very solid, very steady in his approach day to day. He's a pro. He's strong fundamentally, and he comes to work every day, which there's a lot to be said for that.
Now that you've been around him a bit, what has Roger Saffold brought both on the field and in the locker room?
Yeah, I would say similar, really, to Daquan. He's a pro. I know he's very involved in some of the things off the field with what we do and the initiatives in the organization, and he just, from a distance a year ago or before this year, and now seeing him, that's what I thought he would be in terms of the work that he puts in when no one else is watching, kind of the gaps in the schedule. I think our young players can stand to learn a lot from that, from guys like Daquan and Roger in this case. So it's good to have on our team.
Hey, Sean, you against Tennessee had the #1 ranked rush defense last year. Were you a little surprised how the Giants gashed them for, I think it was 238? That seemed like a surprising type of thing. Were you surprised by that?
I think you obviously start giving credit to the Giants in that case, and I think then you look at the tape, and that was uncharacteristic of that football team, of the Titans. We expect that we'll see a different team this week and a motivated team, and it'll be a good game.
Sean, a little bit off of that. Last year, the team, you guys struggled to run the ball early in the season. Looking back at that first game, I know it's only one game, but you averaged almost 5 yards a carry. Were you happy with the production on that side of things?
Yes. Again, would love to see the running backs have more yards every week. I think the more we can stay in that two-dimensional approach, the better we'll be, and the more, or the less hits Josh takes as well. So trying to get that in balance as well is important for me and for us, and those yards are going to come for Josh because he has some unscripted plays out there, from time to time. So, but overall, yes, I thought our two-dimensional approach was healthy for us.
You guys, are you bothered at all by the talk that your #1 ranking, you weren't really quite that good because you played against a lot of weak opponents?
Give me that again.
The idea that your #1 defensive ranking was a little misleading last year because you played a lot of bad backup quarterbacks. I'm wondering if the guys talked about that and that pissed them off.
That's a question for them, probably. I think you know me.
Question about your defense's ability to get pressure without having to
Yeah, it all works hand in hand. As I've said many times in here before, the rush has to complement the coverage, and the coverage has to complement the rush. But you can't sit there and just try and only defend the pass. You have to work yourself into that type of game, and that starts really, on both sides of the ball and trying to get a team into that situation. So that's what you try and do.
Might be one thing, but what do you make of the connection between the rapport between Josh and Stefon, and just some of the tight windows that Josh found Diggs in, just threw the ball in some very tight windows, and just the developing chemistry that they continue to show new dimensions to just what the rapport is.
Yeah, they certainly have chemistry, John. They work well together. Now going into year 3 together, I think that's been evident the last couple of years, and then also as they've gotten started this year. So there's a lot of communication that goes on in practice, also in between plays. Josh will try and polish something up with Steph, or Steph will come back from a route and work on something with Josh and say, hey, let's think about it this way. So they have a good rapport, and more than anything, I think the communication that leads to that rapport.
Sean, I know you and your staff watch and learn from other situations around the league. What happened with the Bengals? Do you guys have a backup long snapper, or is that something you ever practice?
Yeah, I mean, you try and listen, as a head coach, you try and be prepared for everything. We do, but I can tell you, there's things that come up in the course of a game where you try and have a backup plan. So you just do the best you can. I mean, I can empathize with Coach there on that, and tough deal. But we try and have a backup plan for things like that, but it's not easy. AJ, that's one of them. Yeah, AJ is one of them. Yeah.
So Sean, considering all the connections you guys have recently with the Giants franchise, is there any benefit getting ready this week because they just played the team you're about to play?
I mean, yes and no. I think they're onto their game, we're onto our game, and so we just try and focus on that more than anything. I'm sure they're doing the same.
I know it was a team effort stopping Aaron Donald, but it seemed like Ryan Bates had a lot on his plate in regard to that on Thursday. How did you feel about his performance overall going up against Donald?
Yeah, I thought it's never just one guy, right? In this case, I thought Ryan really settled in. I think the first couple, he was tested a little bit there, but he really adjusted during the game, which is part of it, right? You want to be able to adjust during the game and without having to do something different, really, from a schematic standpoint. And I thought he adjusted well.
The defensive line pressure that you got, obviously a new opponent this week, but is there anything you can carry over? Is it confidence, or kind of what goes into that?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a situation where we were able to get them into a one-dimensional type of game a little bit, and this opponent this week you want to carry it over every week. This opponent this week obviously thrives on running the ball and with the play-action game, so it'll be a little bit of a different go of it, and we've got to earn the line of scrimmage and do a better job there. As it was documented, somebody mentioned earlier how we have not stopped them. I can't remember who it was, but so we got to obviously put a good week of practice in here.
Sean, they don't have A.J. Brown anymore, which I'm sure you're not disappointed by. And Julio played for them last year, too. What did you notice? I know it's only one game, but what did you notice about their passing game that might be different from what you saw last year?
It's only one game, like you said, Sal, so very similar passing game. They've got a good system. I think Coach Downing does a great job putting them in position. Again, good players, so it's really only one game, so it's hard to really tell how they're using the new personnel to this point, but I think we'll get a better feel as we head into the game here. No, I think that's, I'm sorry, Tim Settle. Yeah.
What kind of environment, atmosphere are you expecting on Monday?
Yeah, it'll be fun. I look forward to getting in front of our fans and our home opener here, but I think our players are really, and our team is really just focused on putting in the work, and right now, one day at a time, to get ourselves ready to go against a really good football team.
It's only one game, but you think Epinesa is a guy who looks to be about to come into his own?
I think there's momentum, Jerry. There, I do. I think there's momentum, and again, it's one game at a time here. So All right, thanks, guys.